This show was made possible with the continued support of the Novi affiliates with competitive rev share, high-tech tools, and real-time statistics.
Yeah. Hello, friends. It's thimbleberry season here in the Pacific Northwest. See, when you pull them off their husk, it forms this little, like, thimble. Yeah. They are so good. Best berries in the Pacific Northwest, maybe even the world. If you'd like to know more about thimbleberries and all the berries that I go around foraging up here this time of year, please watch till the end, because that's not why you're tuning into this video. Okay, another week brings another look at the gambling headlines. And among the biggest stories impacting our industry, I would have to say that the most important would be the election results in the United Kingdom as far as how they affect online gambling and the gambling industry in general. In particular, the fact that the Labour Party has now won a majority, ending the conservative-held majority that's been in place for over a decade. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but what does it mean for the business of gambling in the UK? And the short answer to that is no one really knows, at least not yet, but there are indicators, which I will share with you. One of the biggest being that Labour promised to strengthen player protections if they got into office, which they have. Also, another big change is who is going to be in charge of the Department for Culture, Media, and Sport, which oversees the industry. And after the elections, that now falls to MP Lisa Nandy, who has consistently voted for increased gambling regulations and who is against gambling permissiveness. So far, not sounding so encouraging. Working directly underneath Ms. Nandy will be the new gambling minister, Stephanie Peacock, who has spoken extensively about gambling harm, calling the White Paper's take on gambling advertisements a light touch, and adding that 7% of the UK's population has been negatively impacted by the betting activity of others. I ask you, do these people sound like they're going to be good for our industry? Recently, an analyst on the World Series of Politics podcast stated that there are increasing views that gambling is the new tobacco and perhaps should be regulated as such. A belief we actually spoke about on our last show, coming from those with political ambitions in Canada and Northern Ireland. So, if those driving the agenda want to talk about gambling and tobacco affecting public health, well, let's go. Let's dive in and take a closer look. Now let's begin by saying that in the UK, there are over 10,000 deaths each and every year directly related to alcohol consumption. That does not include another 8,000 deaths every year from alcohol-related accidents. All right? There are 30,000 deaths in the UK every year due to the growing obesity problems. All right? 30,000. 18, then 30,000. Now we're up to 75,000 deaths every year in Britain due to the use of tobacco. Okay, 18,000, 30,000, 75,000. So what atrocities is gambling responsible for? Estimates are between 100 and 500 deaths every year. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. Any death is tragic, especially if it's associated with an industry I'm working in. That's just horrific. But, you know, nowhere near the harm of these other things, nowhere near tobacco which by their own numbers is 150 times worse than gambling. So I got a question, or a few questions for you. What exactly is the end game of these politicians and their focus on gambling? There has to be some kind of benefit for these politicians to push aside most everything else and focus on the gambling harms. And really, when it comes to politicians, can you trust any of them? Welcome back. I'm losing my sun. The shadow of these trees is now coming toward me. That's a bad thing about this time of year. The sun moves pretty quick. See if I stand here in the center, my face is in the shadow. Which maybe that's a better shot. You know, the less you see of my face could be better. But I'm going to stand over here and say that webmasters out there who are looking to add some value to their site or maybe increase their conversion rates, they need to look no further than our friends at Every Game and their $270,000 Safari Fun bonus contest with weekly prizes up to $500, a final drawing of $1,000, plus players can grab a 100% deposit bonus for up to $1,000 and 50 free spins on the Big Cat Links slot game. This contest runs now through September 2nd. If you'd like details or creatives or maybe even to sign up, get over to affiliate.everygame.eu. Also, it's about time for the last installment of IGB Live in Amsterdam, which I will not be attending. But I mean, hell, I've been to Holland like 300 times over the past 10 years, so not a big deal. The GPWA, however, will be represented by Michael, Anthony, and Nicole, you know, all the important people. So be sure to drop by their booth and tell them hello. Certainly, there will be lots of talk about British elections, and Casino City's Gary Trask actually has an interview with Naomi Barton of Clarion Gaming about all you can look forward to at the event. Now that event will be running July 16th through the 19th, so you still got time to get over there, make some plans, you know, get to Amsterdam. Lastly, a parting shot about the elections in the UK and the Betting and Gaming Council as they welcomed the Labour Party pledge to strengthen player protections. To me, it's difficult to believe that any organization supporting our industry would truly welcome more regulations. Have there been any recent regulatory changes that were actually good for business? I'll wait. Instead, let's just look at what the Betting and Gaming Council actually said specifically to those within the Labour Party, which was that the 110,000 members of the Betting and Gaming Council, along with the 22.5 million British citizens who support gambling, welcome them and their manifesto, which, to me, I'm not sure, kind of sounds like a backhanded threat. I'm sure it wasn't, but boy, it sure sounds like it. Now, I'm going to move back over here and cover my face so that you guys can enjoy the last couple minutes of this video. And stay tuned if you want to know more about thimbleberries. And that's why I didn't edit out the little flub I had here, because I'm not going to put bloopers in this week. I'm just going to share my love of berries with you. You know, God willing. Okay, berry lovers, yes, I am a bit of a nerd when it comes to things that grow wild on my property. Several years ago, I was out hiking and I came across this apple tree out in the middle of the wilderness. Surely somebody must have planted it there long ago. And if you know anything about Washington State, you know that apple trees, well, they grow here quite well. There's a good apple harvest that takes place every year. Everyone loves Washington apples. My point is that when I pulled it off the tree, it was still warm from the sunlight. It had never been processed or waxed or shipped to a grocery store. It was the most delicious thing I'd ever eaten. So I started getting into some of these things, and thimbleberries are something that not a lot of people, even up here, know about. They call them that because the husk, kind of when you take it off of there, it leaves this little hollowed out area. I don't know if you can see it or not, right there, but you almost can get your finger in there and it's kind of like a thimble, you know? So the thing is, these berries are the most delicious thing you will ever eat out in the wilderness. And this is coming from a person who's eaten a lot of blackberries over the years. We have those too, and I'll get to them in coming weeks, but my belief is the only reason these things are not raised for agriculture purposes is because they're so fragile. They just fall apart with the lightest touch. You have to be very careful picking them, and they almost melt in your mouth, but the taste is like raspberries. Very tart, very sweet, incredibly delicious. I don't know if they stain your shirts or not. I'm not going to find out today, though. Thimbleberries.